is what their like go-to workout song, or I guess it doesn't even have to be a workout song, but something a little hype that you've been listening to lately, and that's like my intro.
Ooh, let me look real quick before I.
I'm not asking you that on the podcast.
Yeah. Something I've been listening to lately. Well, it's just like TikTok songs. That's all I hear. No, well, actually, I don't know if you've heard the. So you know the song like I Got 5 on it.
Yeah.
And then you remember when the movie Us and that movie came out?
Right.
Like it's that version.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like that's what I've been like. I click on that song a lot. It's really short, but.
Oh wait, did you like Us or Get Out better?
Get Out.
Yeah.
I liked Us, but
yeah.
Get Out. They were different too.
Yeah.
Like Get Out it's very harsh commentary on race. Us was both, but more just more typical horror. Yeah, this song it's spooky, but also like. Yeah, so this song. I got 5 on it, but the Us version. Maybe from Us.
I got you.
I've honestly been listening to BTS too now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can't get into them.
I never was, and then like I've heard about them a lot,
Yeah.
So I just clicked on YouTube. I typed in BTS. The first song that came on was a song called On, and it was like new. It came out that day, so I was like, okay, I'll just do it. I was like, okay. It was like I have like 3 or 4, I think 4 of their songs on my phone.
I remember I saw them like New Year's Eve or something. They were on TV. All right.
Yeah, I mean they are really popular, especially obviously over there. But like,
it's wild how popular they are.
Yeah, they account for like it's like 0.3% of Korea's entire GDP or something like that. Yeah, it's like
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Sweet. All right. Let's do it. All right, what is up, everybody? Thanks for checking out episode 7 of the Trainer Scoop, podcast dedicated to highlighting the experiences of individuals looking to improve their fitness and provide information to those looking in the fitness industry as well. I'm your host, David Martin, and with me today, I have one of the OGs, Jaymen, Neff-Strickland. Jaymen, say what's up.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. It's funny that today is the 7th episode, because 7 is my favorite number. That was what number I wore in high school.
Yeah,
It's fitting.
That's what you wore in football, right?
Yeah,
definitely. Dude, that is funny. So Jaymen, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you're up to right now, all that good stuff.
All right, so I just graduated college. People that are listening to this may know that Dave graduated last year. You might be wondering, why did he graduate a year before you, Jaymen? You guys graduated high school the same year. Oh, it's because I love college so much. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay another year. I just graduated. Give me a break. I changed my major once. Okay, I had to go an extra year. But I graduated in May or whatever. Kind of hard to keep track of time during all these crazy times. And I decided that I love college so much that I'm going to go back again for my master's in the fall. And I got accepted into a master's program, and that is what's on the horizon for me right now.
That's awesome, man. And he's not flexing right now, but you got like a full ride scholarship to the master's program as well.
Yeah.
So congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, if I could go back to school and not have to pay anything, there's really no reason not to do it. So I got full funding. They're gonna give me scholarships, and then also I get some money for teaching that class. So it's like
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to be teaching?
It's going to be my program is a pop culture program. I finished my undergrad with a degree in Bachelor of Arts in Film Production, creative writing minor, and then my master's program is popular culture with a focus in television and film. And eventually, the first semester, I'm going to be like a graduate assistant sitting in on the class. And then the spring semester, I'll be teaching my own class, and that'll be like an intro to popular culture class. So,
damn, that'll be sweet, man.
Yeah, excited for that.
Yeah, you'll be a great teacher, I feel like, because I feel like you'll just like know how to connect with some students that like aren't the most. I mean, I feel like if you're in that class, you might be motivated.
Right.
But like, I feel like you'll be able to connect to the students well.
I try to be personable a lot of people, everybody I meet, I try to, connect on some type of level, because I feel like everybody has something in common. So, yeah, and I'll be a 7th generation teacher in my family, so 7th in a row. My mom, and then a generation above her aunts and uncles are of that. My great grandma is, her mom, and so forth. So I'll be 7th in a row in our family that are teachers of some sort. So that'd be really cool.
That's awesome, man. So then, what was your major before you switched?
So it's kind of fitting for this type of podcast. A little bit. Skip hopping away. I was a phys ed and health ed major, so I wanted to be, a gym teacher. Hopefully my old teacher doesn't hear me say that, because you're not supposed to say you're a gym teacher. You teach in a gym, not a gym teacher.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's crazy. Anyways, but yeah, phys ed and health ed, I really wanted to be a gym teacher, but I just realized that for me, I don't think I could play mat ball every single day for 35 years. Some people can,
Right.
and more power to them. I think every teacher should get paid more, because they're babysitting plus educating. They're doing 2 jobs in one. But yeah, I started in phys ed and health ed, but it just wasn't for me. I don't think I could do the same thing for 35 years.
Yeah, and I'm sure with your changing major, changing career, it's gonna bring a lot of variety.
Yeah, for sure.
From your day to day.
More creative juices are flowing. I feel like you can only play so many games and do certain for a phys ed environment. So.
Yeah, most definitely. Kind of along those same lines, I just like looking back in the yearbook. We still haven't closed it. Jaymen was definitely one of the most athletic, maybe the most athletic kid in our grade. Grew up kind of playing sports, not every sport together, but always involved in the same lifting or sports. So how has that kind of impacted your life so far, would you say, all those athletic endeavors?
So I'm glad that, especially today, I feel like there are less and less three sport athletes, even 2 sport athletes. A lot of people are trying to, specialize.
Yeah.
And while I understand that to an extent, for one, most people who are specializing should maybe specialize in something else, because they're not,
Yeah.
especially, in small areas, you're not going to do it. You just don't have, skill or whatever. But I'm glad that I did not. In fact, I may have been, I think I was, the only 12 sport athlete in our class when we graduated, because I played a sport every single season, every single year.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did that, because I think it made me obviously more well-rounded when it comes to athletic things, but really I can just I think there might be personality traits in different sports, and I think I can get along with people that way. There is a difference from the soccer team to the football team, basketball team, and even track. Track is kind of the social sport for me. I like doing that because I get to connect with other kids from other schools and stuff. But I love playing sports growing up. I was probably not unlike many when I asked, what do you want to be? I wanted to be a professional athlete, growing up. That was what, I was like, why not? Cause like you said, I was pretty athletic growing up. And I thought, might as well just do something like this. But I was like, I beat kids at recess and racing, so I might as well.
Dude, it's south.
Yeah.
From the fence to the fence.
Yeah,
oh,
so
yeah.
That was fun, yeah.
You were running it.
I remember Cody Grimm and I raced on the last day of 2nd grade. And
I remember that, and I think you beat him, but he was mad about it. And, I remember that.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Cody Grimm was pretty fast, too,
fast
so
too.
no shame in losing, Cody.
Good times.
Right? So how do you, I guess before I ask that question, before we go deep, what do you think your favorite sport was, and then what was your best sport, if they're I feel like they're different.
Yeah, they are. So I would say, honestly, okay, and I still say this to this day. My younger brother Jackson and I, we went outside and we were passing the baseball the other day. And I said to him, I honestly believe, everyone says, well, if I could go pro in this sport. I don't know if I could go pro.
Right.
But if I would have played baseball all the way through high school, because I stopped, because I had to pick between baseball and track.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't really have a desire to play either of those in college. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go track because it's fun, social.
Yeah.
But
you made the right choice.
Yeah, our best team kind of didn't have the most success. But maybe if I was on the team, maybe I could have helped a little bit. But I think baseball, I was a really good baseball player as a young kid, and I didn't know this. But at our rec league, did you know that they had picks? They would pick kids from because we did like a
Yeah,
combine.
yeah.
Yep. One year we did a Urbana University,
Right.
and one at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And my coach let me know. He wasn't supposed to tell me, but I was the number one pick.
Right.
So that was really cool. Like, especially
Yeah.
when you're a kid, you're thinking like, oh, that's cool.
I remember I heard that from my dad. Like, I don't think he wanted me to know either, but that's how they had to balance the teams out in rec league.
Exactly. Yeah, because if not, a coach will just pick all the good kids.
Yeah.
But that was cool knowing that was the number one pick. So as a young kid, I think baseball is probably my best, to be honest. A lot of people don't know that because I stopped. But
dude, I remember.
What's that?
I remember like you played for the Warhawks.
Yes.
And it was like probably the best baseball team in Ohio.
We were good. Yeah, we were really. And then we came to Urbana.
Dude.
Yeah, that was fun because I played for this team, the Warhawks, and I didn't go to school with any of the kids on that team.
Yeah.
All of my friends played for the Urbana Acme or something.
Well,
no, at that point.
Were you on that team?
I was on, I played on the Bobcats.
Yeah.
But that was the year before the Warhawks. They kind of poached me from a tournament.
Right.
We played the Warhawks in a tournament.
Yeah.
And got beat up, and then they kind of said, "Hey, play for us next year."
Right.
And the Bobcats won a team the next year, so it was okay. But we came and played Urbana. That was fun because I got to play against all my classmates. And Dave here got beamed really hard by this kid named Dean who played for the Warhawks, who he looked like, a father of three who may have driven the whole team to the... Yeah, it was... I don't know how old we are exactly, but yeah, I remember he was throwing heat, and you got beamed in. You were on the ground a little bit, but you got up and all over the first base.
Yeah, dude, that was awful. That was like...
Yeah.
Right in the knee.
Yeah, I remember that.
Hurt so bad.
I remember, because I'm in the field, I'm like, oh, man, that's... I don't really remember what position. I was probably playing maybe second at the time. Because I play, I fluctuate positions. Sometimes I play center. I really like playing center field, but I feel like I was close enough to see. I was probably a second. But to go with other sports, so that's maybe like when I was a young kid, but even getting older, in high school especially, the most success I found was, without a doubt, soccer. And that is because, I was, not to toot my own horn, but I was the first all-state selection in our school's history in soccer, so that was cool. And I remember I played football as a freshman, and then, I decided I'm going to go over and play soccer, sophomore and junior year. And by my junior year, that's when I got all Ohio, and that really wasn't my goal. It was kind of, I just played it because I needed something to do.
Yeah.
I had a couple friends that switched over to soccer, and I was like, okay. So I got pretty good at that. But, I just liked them all, because football I really liked playing, because I got to be with my friends my senior year, and we kind of had a little bit of success. But without a doubt, the most fun I ever had playing a sport was my senior year of basketball, because we were pretty darn good.
That team was good.
Yeah, we were sweet. Had a lot of great players. But also, without a doubt, basketball was the sport that I guess, performed on paper the least. Soccer.
I remember you had that 100 club.
Yes, we scored 100 points in the game. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I took a shot the entire game. It's funny because I started on the team, but I just never, that wasn't my job, which is why I think we were so good. Everybody knew their job. My job was to get in there, play defense, facilitate the ball, and not turn the ball over. And that's what I did.
I'm talking about, I think you know how they have 1,000 club, someone scores 1,000 points, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But you had your 100th point.
No,
No.
That was the game we scored 100 points.
Okay.
We beat Greenon, which is a nearby school that used to be in our conference. We beat them 100-43. And they were the second best team in our league, and we beat the brakes off them. It was a special night. We were commemorating the 1965 or something basketball team. We kind of really wanted to show out for them. And at the end of the game, I held the 100 points up because we scored 100 in the game.
I got you.
Yeah. I don't even know if I scored 100 points in my career, man. I never scored the ball. I never shot the ball. But that team was really special. We had guys like Nate Mays, who was a phenom in football. In my eyes that I've ever seen, he's the best high school football quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah.
With my eyes, period. And my bias, because I've known the kid for 30,000 years, it seems like. Maybe my bias because he was my quarterback, maybe. But with my eyes, he's the best I've ever seen. He could do things on the field that other guys just couldn't. He had size on the football field. But
he was just so football smart.
Yeah. He knew how to read defenses. He knew how to do things that other quarterbacks at that level just didn't know how to do. And he went to Division I, Youngstown State. Had our schedule been a little tougher, or the school been a little bigger, probably would have got more offers. But their loss, I'd say. But we in the basketball team, Nate was playing pretty much a center at 6'3". A little undersized, but he, was a workhorse. Averaged 10 rebounds. Cameron Logwood's by far the best shooter I've ever seen. If I passed the ball to him, I was like, oh, that's him every time.
Dude,
I mean,
he was nasty.
Caleb at 6'1" at point guard, Sam 6'1" at guard, harassing people. I mean, that was a really fun year. And
Oh, yeah.
I was glad to be a part of that team.
Yeah, I'll never forget. We're going to close the yearbook after this, but I'll never forget the, I think it was Bell Fountain. There was like a buzzer beater.
Yes.
And then another buzzer beater. Well, they were like 2 back-to-back, like crazy 3-point shots.
Yeah, that was obviously the regular season because we actually got upset by them in the tournament.
Yeah.
To this day, that's like the worst day of my life. Like if I could go back and redo a day,
Yep.
I'm like, oh yeah, the Bell Fountain game tournament. Yeah, that regular season. That was Cameron. He bailed us out. We were up 3. They hit a 3 deep because kid Caleb was supposed to guard him and he got caught in a screen and then there was a couple seconds left to here. Sam was dribbling the ball up the court. I can vividly remember it now. I'm kind of just getting myself out of the way. I'm like, I'm not going to do anything this play. I know they're not passing me the ball. Gives it to Cameron. Cameron, ice in his vein, goes up, hits the jumper, and we win 32-30. It was a very, very, very low-scoring game.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is in this part of Ohio.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, we're closing the yearbook. So what do you do now to, like, stay active, stay fit?
Right.
What does that look like?
So in college, we have a really nice rec center that I like. That's a really big draw. My freshman year, I think, was the first year it was open. They had the rec the same place where it is now, but they renovated it, so it's really nice now. And so I work out there. Back in early part of college, I was a crazy fool. I was watching bodybuilding videos, as most people do. I was watching, and I was watching some guys that maybe for my stature and what I was going through probably wasn't the best. Like I would watch some Rich Piana videos as if that's going to do anything for me. Which I mean, he was big in his own guard. Obviously, it didn't really work out for him. But I was going, all right, I'm going to go work out 7 days a week, 3 hours a day. I'd get there at 9 p.m. I would work out until it closed at midnight. Yeah. And I mean, I put on weight, I got stronger, but it just wasn't manageable. So then I kind of cut back and I made it a little more better. Made it better. But I played a bunch of intramural sports up there. I played flag football, basketball, a variation of like 4v4 flag football, which was really fun. And I had a short stint on the actual BG football team as a walk-on. And that was really cool. So I think that's kind of, playing a lot of different sports allows me to play different sports now, which I'm grateful for. But just really, and I play volleyball. This is what I'm kind of doing now. And the most recent, I played club volleyball, which I just picked that up because my friends played, and I got pretty decent at that. And it's really fun. So.
Yeah, I feel like volleyball is one sport where if you're like semi-athletic, you can be pretty good at it.
That's exactly
it's a lot of fun too.
What my friend, who is the president of the team, he said, you're exactly what I wanted people to do, because I know a lot of guys, especially in Ohio, didn't play volleyball in high school unless you're from a really big school. Yeah. So we didn't have that anywhere around where we're from. Yeah. And he's like, but if you're athletic and you work hard, you can become good pretty easily. And it's kind of what happened for me.
Yeah. So then the next thing I want to talk about is, with changing your major to what you're doing now, and then also, the time you spent with the football team. Like, how was that transition from, like, maybe what was expected of you to, like, what you really wanted to do?
Right. So,
getting deep here.
No, I think I initially picked phys ed and health ed because really teaching is really all I knew, because, like, my mom's a teacher, everybody in my family's a teacher, so right out the gate, I was like, okay, I'll just go be a teacher. And it was kind of like the safe choice for me. Not that teaching's safe, I think they're underappreciated, and but I think so. I was like, all right, let's go do that. But eventually, there was a switch in my head. It was like, okay, but I'm paying money to do this, to like be here, and there's that saying, if you love your job, you won't work a day in your life. I don't know about all that. I don't believe that. I think you are going to work, and that's fine. I think it's actually good. You should work for things. Yeah. But there is some truth in that. You should love what you do, because if not, you'll get burnt out and you'll have to change your job anyways. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to go to school for 4 years to be a phys ed teacher, and then 10 years later, like, well, I don't want to do this, because I'm kind of I'm too old to go do certain jobs, and so I was like, okay, I need to make the change now. I need to rip it off like a Band-Aid. Because if not, I won't, because this was at the end of my first year of college, before my freshman year was even over. It was the middle of that spring semester, and I was like, if I don't make the change now, that's too late. Because I'm not, after 1 year, I can get back on track. It took me 5 years. But if I go another year, if I go 2 years in this program, I'm not going to leave. I'm just going to be, not happy. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, rip it off. I don't even know. I remember I was telling my mom, hey, I'm going to change it. It was not really an ask. I just wanted to let her know, like, hey, I'm changing my major.
Right.
And so then that day, I found the emails and emailed who I need to do, and I changed my major right then and there. And I was like, okay. And it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulder because I was like, oh, okay, I can relax. I'm not going to be miserable the rest of my life. Not saying I'd be miserable if I was a phys ed teacher, but maybe I'll be happy. I wanted that to be there. So that's an uncomfortable situation, but it also ultimately, I think, worked out for me because, I graduated and I'm still happy with what I'm doing. And then, with the football team situation, that was cool for me. I was proud of myself at that point, just because I hadn't told anybody I was doing it. I remember that was when I was kind of working. I was like getting bigger. Like the most I've ever weighed was like 195-ish, and that's big on my frame, especially because I've never been a big bulky guy. I've been like a smaller, like athletic type build, but I was getting pretty big. And I remember one time, this is before the tryout, I had come back home to Urbana for Thanksgiving break. And I remember we had a local bar, Rockets, and a bunch of people were there that night. It was like the night before Thanksgiving or something. Yeah. And I remember a bunch of like high school people were there, and even like an adult set, typically hang out there. Anyways, were there.
Right.
And I remember I got a text or something from somebody like, come out now. I was like, what? I said, okay. So I remember I swooped and picked up Caleb Honore, and we went out there. And I remember I just had like some shorts and I remember I had jeans, probably it was November, and like a basic t-shirt on. And I remember I had never been like complimented and told how big I am ever in my life, because these people hadn't seen me.
Yeah.
And to yourself, I hear the saying sometimes you get 6 weeks to see your change, 12 weeks for other people, and so forth. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't really noticed it because I'm with myself every day. These people hadn't seen me, and they were like, "Oh my, whoa, you're big." Blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, I'm starting to feel good about myself. I'm like, all right, it's kind of working. So that was a really cool change. But then I tried out for the football team, made the team. I remember I told my mom, hey mom, I'm just doing a physical because I just want to see my health. And really it was because I had to do one to try out for the team. Mm-hmm. She's like, okay. So I did my physical. And then she's like, how'd that work out? I was like, oh, it was fine, I'm healthy. She's okay. Some time went by, I tried out for the team.
What made you want to
try out?
That and like what made you want to kind of like keep it to yourself?
Okay, yeah, so I think maybe subconsciously it was I didn't want the pressure. Mm-hmm. But I don't really think of myself as that way. I feel as though I'm a person that kind of likes maybe the limelight, maybe the pressure, right. Maybe a little bit a jackass sometimes. It's I am. I'd work every day to be a better person. But I think part of it was just it was for me. Like I was doing it for me. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to broadcast it because I didn't want people to be like, why are you telling us this? Like, we don't care, or but because I didn't care what they thought. I didn't need that gratification from people. Where'd you go?
Oh no, we're good.
We're good. I didn't need for people to say like, good job, because I knew what I was doing was a good job. I knew me lifting consistently was a good job. I didn't need people to tell me that. So it was really for me. So I was like, all right, I don't need to tell anybody. Let's keep it myself. Yeah. And I tried out for the team, and I got some emails back, and I made the team. And I remember I called my mom, and I was like, hey, Mom. I was like, so, that physical I did? She was like, yeah. I think she was kind of worried, like, are you all right? I was like, so, well, the reason I did that, it wasn't that, for no reason. I did it because I was trying out for the football team. She's like, okay. And I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I made the football team. She goes, what? And so that was a really cool moment. And I was on that team, and it was cool. But I did end up having to leave just for a multitude of reasons, whether it be my mental health. I was like being stretched in so many different directions. Yeah. And I was a walk-on. They weren't paying me scholarship to be there. So it's like, while the time I was there at practice lifting, that was great. It was fun. The guys were cool. The coaches were cool. But I was missing classes, and I was allowed to miss the classes. I didn't get in trouble, but I was, getting behind in things. I wasn't learning. You're in college. You're a student athlete. You really are. Like in my eyes, that is what you're there for. Unless you're a high profile pick, but we're at Bowling Green, Ohio, Bowling Green State University. We're not we're a mid-major school. We're not Power 5 or anything like that. You're there to go to school. So especially at walk-on, I'm there to go to school, and I was just happened to be good enough at that time to be a running back on a mid-level college, Division I school. And that was really cool, but I was missing classes, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. So I ended up having to leave the team, but I don't regret leaving the team for 1 second. Because if I would have stayed on, I might not have even graduated. So, I mean, it's like I'm not going to win the Heisman. I'm not going to the NFL. Yeah. So it'd be a lose-lose situation there. So at that point, the pressure was on, but I don't know. I'm glad that I made that decision to end up walking away. Because again, that was for me. I went on the team for me, and I left the team for me. And I feel I'm good with both those decisions.
Right. And I think that, this episode, while it's not going to be like episodes I've had in the past where we're talking about like, oh, this is how you're going to get clients for your personal training. But I think this speaks to almost like a deeper level. And that could be pursuing what really makes you happy, whether it be, you're a college student and you're kind of nervous about switching your major and nervous about what people are going to think. Like the fact that you were just like, hey, I'm going to switch it up because I'm not happy.
Yeah. That
does take a lot of guts. And so, maybe we could even spin this like, this would be good for college kids and like people that maybe they're not happy with their career.
Yeah. I think because we were eating before, and I said something about instant gratification, and I don't want to say I came up with that idea because I've heard it before, but to really extrapolate what that really means to me is I think in everything in life, a lot of people do things for instant gratification and don't do things because they won't get instant gratification. And that's a big problem. I think for me, I changed my major understanding that the instant gratification wouldn't be there. I wasn't going to be, because I changed film production, I wasn't going to be a film director overnight. I wasn't going to have a movie right then and there. I wasn't going to be on Netflix right then and there. It was going to take me longer to graduate college. But even though all those things, I knew I wasn't going to have the instant gratification. I had the presence of mind to understand that while the gratification wouldn't be instant, I think I would appreciate that gratification more, even though it's going to take longer. And that that was that instance for change my major. I think it can just be anything in general. Like if you can put off that gratification, I think you're going to appreciate it longer. The journey, it really is another cliche, but the journey really is, I think, a lot of times more important than the destination. And if you can just put it off for a little bit longer, and I'm not saying don't work hard for things because put it off for later, but if you can put off that instant gratification for as long as you can, I think it'll pay dividends later for sure.
Oh yeah, and that mindset kind of transfers into so many different aspects of life. Whether you're on your fitness journey, something as minute as sticking to the diet, or setting a goal for yourself that you're not going to achieve right off the bat, but you put in you said put in the journey, and then it's definitely not an easy thing to do. And the thing that kind of comes to my mind is, maybe you did, maybe you didn't get some feedback, what are you going to do, with film?
Every single day.
Yeah. You have people kind of, doubting you or, thinking, maybe they didn't outwardly doubt you.
Some pessimistic at a little bit of it.
Yeah. Because it's unconventional. And, I know of people that I, kind of went through college with, and, they were just as passionate about me as fitness and training, but then they're oh, I actually want to get a master's degree in business and work for a corporate type. And I'm yeah, man, best of luck. I hope you're happy with it.
Yeah.
And they might be, they might not be, but there is definitely something to be said for kind of taking that leap of faith. And I'm it's a very cool story because, you've just from what we were talking at lunch, you've got some very cool opportunities on the horizon as well, more short term. You said you're going to what is it, Minnesota?
Yeah. So I wrote a paper for a class this past fall, and it was a paper on the movie Get Out from Jordan Peele, and there's a conference in Minnesota, and I got invited to present my paper there. And the only reason I was able to write that, present that paper is because I wrote that paper. The only reason I was able to write that paper was because I took a class that I needed for this major. That and I wouldn't have taken this class if I was still a phys ed major. So I think a lot of and it definitely wasn't instant because it took me 3-4 years to get invited to this conference for this paper I wrote. But I think that's just another example of like I put the time in and I not necessarily waited. I don't consider what I did waiting. I just put that time in and then it is paying off now.
Oh yeah, and that's why I will never doubt someone that pursues like their goal with like all that passion behind them, because like it's just like doors start to open.
It's gonna work.
Like like I said, you're getting your master's program paid for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of opportunities along with like the further distinguishment of having a further education.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just that can apply to so many different things in life.
I think some people will say successful people are successful because they work hard, but also luck. And that word luck for me, I don't believe in luck at all. I'm not superstitious, not even a little stitious at all. Like, no, call back to the office.
Do it.
But no, I don't believe in luck at all. And the idea of luck to me, it really is just when preparation meets opportunity. So like, I'm lucky in that I'm in this master's program. And the reason someone would call me lucky is because I was not going to even apply for my master's. The only reason because they required this type of test that you had to go pay hundreds of dollars for, that was only open this amount of times. I had to drive hours to go do it. I had to pay all these fees for even applying, all this and that. I had to write all these different things until what happened? Coronavirus, COVID-19 happened. They said, no fees, no tests. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that.
Whoa. So
if somebody would say, well, that's lucky. I say, I was prepared because I wrote a letter of purpose that was really, really good. It had to be really good because I applied on a Wednesday night and I got accepted on a Friday morning the same week. So I think that was on me. I had the grades to do it in my undergrad, so I prepared on that. The opportunity arrived to me when coronavirus happened, all these things happened. So someone would say that's luck. I say it's preparation meeting the opportunity, and it just worked out for me. And I think that can happen, in anything. People, you're really lucky that you have that determination to work out. Really? I'm lucky, or I am prepared by working out every day, and the opportunity came up when there was a gym right here, and I went to it. Like, that's not luck. That's you, doing the right thing, and I mean, I guess the right thing, right time happens. But I don't see that as luck. I see that's, when you work hard for something, and the doors will open eventually.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when you hear someone blew up overnight. I feel like that very, very rarely ever happens. Yeah. Like, there's so much work that goes into it behind the scenes.
And let's say they did blow up overnight. Well, they may have blown up overnight, but they didn't just start being good at something overnight.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, what example, what are these kids doing these days? TikTok, right?
Yeah.
All right, somebody will blow up on TikTok overnight. Well, why did they do that? Well, it's because probably they are, they could be really talented in, let's say, dancing. Well, you think they just became a good dancer overnight? No. They danced for a long time, and they recorded it, and the opportunity of this platform came up, and then they blew up. Yeah. Or, they're really funny. They're not just funny that one time. They're a funny person. And then they recorded it, and now they've blown up. People blow up because they're attractive. And while it may seem unfair, it is unfair. There's a lot of things that are unfair. Skill's unfair. It's unfair that somebody is, just born genetically to have bigger muscle. That's not fair, but it's just, it is what it is. You have things that are better than they do,
Yeah.
And it's like these people, they were pretty, and they, worked on themselves being pretty, and it's very, it may not be it's kind of, it doesn't take that much skill to be, but like they worked at that, and then this platform came out, and then people liked that. So it's like, it's lucky, and they blew up overnight, but like, the work didn't happen overnight, for sure. No.
Yeah, and it also kind of comes with like seizing that opportunity as it comes by. You can't just like wait, and then maybe something will happen. But like those are the type of people that like saw it and then went in for it.
And they jumped at it for sure. I saw I could change my major. I jumped at it because like I knew I wasn't going to be super successful being a phys ed teacher. What am I going to win? Teacher of the year? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
but
that's like no offense to anyone that wants that. Like you're. As a teacher, I'm sure you're impacting lives, but
for me, like that award, okay, now what? Then I get to do the same thing. What happens when you win Teacher of the Year award? Nothing. You don't get a raise. You have to teach the same thing the next day. So it's like, okay,
Right.
that's awesome. For them, for those people, that's the gratification they need. For me, that's just wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah, I feel that. So right now, do you feel like you have a vision that's like, in 5 years, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna do this?
So I wrote down, and I don't mind sharing them because I'm not one to say if you say your goals out loud, they won't happen. I just for the first time seriously wrote down my 5-year goals.
Mm-hmm.
I've written down some things I want to do on notes, or and I don't really consider them goals. I do these are goals. Usually I have dreams, right? I dream of this, I dream of that. And I love dreaming. That's my favorite thing to do in life itself. I love dreaming. Like actually when you're asleep dreaming, so that's really cool to me. But goals. So my senior class, I had a senior portfolio class in college, this past semester before you graduate, and he had us write 5 goals for the next 5 years. And I wrote down some things that were like very stereotypical that we, as a graduating film student, what you're supposed to write down. And then in parentheses, I wrote, you know what you really want. And then, because in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't really care about this. Like, this is not really what I want to do. But I wrote it down, and in parentheses, I wrote down, you know what you really want. And I have it in my wallet right here, and I carry it around me everywhere. And then, the other day, I think I dated it. Hopefully I dated it. I did. 6/2/20. So, what's today?
16? 17.
So, 15 days ago, or no, is it July? Or no, it's June, yeah. So 15 days ago, over 2 weeks, I rewrote my goals, and these are for 5 years. And while they are some of them are lofty, they wouldn't be goals if they weren't, So earn master's degree, that's my number one. I'm in my master's program. Hopefully I can do it in the next 5 years. The next one is earn my PhD. And that'd be, go from master's straight to PhD. Because I want to be a doctor because I want to be a professor in the university. Mm-hmm. My third one is get a teaching job at university. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think work is the most important thing in people's lives. I think human interaction is much more important. But to be able to get human interaction, you have to live, and to live, you need a job. And hopefully I'll love this job. That's my third one. And my fourth and fifth are like more just things I want to do. So fourth one is to visit Europe. I've never been there, and I really want to go. And then my fifth one is buy a brand new car. Because I've never had a brand new car. I've never gone to a lot and got a car with 0 miles on it. That's what I want to do in the next 5 years, because I feel like if I have a teaching job at a university with a PhD, hopefully I get a loan.
Yeah, you earned it.
Yeah,
you don't need a loan. You'll come out, roll up in cash, and be like,
hopefully, and without student loans to pay off, which is really nice. Hopefully, I'll be fine. So those are my 5-year goals.
Yeah.
And I like that I have it written down. It's something that is very much achievable, but it's also something that's going to stretch me too. So yeah, those are my recent goals.
Yeah. I think I've talked about this before, whether it be in like a video or on a podcast. But once again, like writing your goals down and having like a vision. You might have the vision and you don't know exactly how it's going to get there. I think that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to have like a 10-step plan like Zach and Cody, or Cody from Zach and Cody, to get a girl or whatever. But yeah, like writing that down, I did that for 2020. I was actually like looking through a book that I found in like a bookcase here, and I did it in 2016, and it was like stuff I wanted to do when I graduated college, like get a job that utilizes like what I went to school for. And it's like, you might write these things down and you don't know exactly how you're going to get there, but like if you keep that pursuit up at like a pretty high level, I think like we were talking about, just doors open and stuff will happen.
Definitely. And knowing that you have those goals, when the door opens, you'll be like, okay, I got to walk through. I got to do it. Because if you don't have it written down, or, if you don't at least know what it is, it's like you won't recognize the opportunity when it's there. It's like, well, I could do this, but I don't know how it's going to end up. No, you'll know how to end up if you have the goal. Yeah. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then kind of transitioning, like, we had some, like, pretty intense talk there. But I think it's also important to balance that, like, being super, super driven with, like, some leisure time activity. And one thing that Jaymen and I share about, I don't even know if I wouldn't even say I'm quite as passionate about it as he is, but is, like, media, television.
Yeah, for sure. TV,
film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you went to school for. So,
yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So
how did that all start for you? I remember just you loved watching shows in high school.
Yeah, it's funny because even in high school, like I don't know why. Because also, like you said, I was an active kid. I played sports all the time. I was doing stuff, so it's not like I was just inside, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always had an imagination. I've always told stories. I remember in first grade in Mrs. Hill's class, I wrote like a 157-page story, and it was about like an elf. And the reason I remember it is because we had those composite notebooks, and I remember I wrote front and back, and it took me like a couple notebooks to to finish the thing. And
That's crazy.
It wasn't high art or anything like that. There might have been a couple words on each page, but I do remember like telling these stories, and I've always been interested in that. I just love that, like, while things may not be real in reality, like, it's real. Like, Lost is my favorite television show ever. Now, is Oceanic 815, is that a real airplane? Is that a real plane? No. Did these people really land on an island? And, no. In reality. But they did. They did in my head. And just because, I think it's what Dumbledore said, just because it's in your head, does it mean it's not real, Harry? Like, no, it's
Yeah.
real. It's real to me.
Yeah.
And that's just so cool to me that, I think you can kind of live vicariously through characters and live different lives, and get different perspectives even, and I think television is the medium that does it the best, because it's invited in your house through TV. Movies are a little different just because typically you need to go to the theater or the cinema to actually watch, at least first. And there's a little more disconnect, I think, in television. Television, they want to be more intimate, I think. But I love both. And there's like an app and website called Letterboxd, and you can like track the amount of movies you've seen. And I don't know, this is like the minimum number, because there may be movies I have not logged. The minimum, it's like, for me, the movies I've watched is like 1,237 or 38 or something like that. So I've watched a bunch of movies, like over 1,200, and I don't regret any of them. I even say, like, even bad movies, I've never watched a movie and I'm mad that I watched it. It could be really, really bad. I mean, it could be, 2015's Fantastic Four, and there's like a 4 instead of an A. That movie is horrible. I gave it a half star out of 5. I would have given it a 0 out of 5, but you can only the least you
Wait,
can
who is in that?
Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan,
Yeah.
Kate
Who's
Mara.
the girl?
Kate Mara, I think is her name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's really bad.
I didn't watch that, but I remember like hearing it was so bad.
It's horrible. After Earth with Will Smith and Jaden Smith. It's really bad. Really, really, really bad. But I'm glad I watched them because I got that experience watching something bad. So that is what I do a lot. I watch a lot of TV, a lot of movies. I remember watching the show Heroes on an iPad, and I watched the entire series on an iPad. And that was really, I just like sitting down, and I can really lose myself. I can Some people are like, I can only watch like a show one episode at a time. I'm like, nope.
Right.
I could go on and on.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really cool for me.
That's funny. That's how my girlfriend is as well. Like, she'll get so like zoned in. I'm not really that way, but also she doesn't like horror because of that. Like, we went to watch the first It movie, and she was just so into it that it like terrified her.
Speaking of I like the first one.
Yeah.
The second one, I
didn't
really like it.
Man. Dude,
I had a negative experience.
The first one was so good, and then like I was so excited.
Bill Hader, the second one,
right?
And it just wasn't.
I went to the opening day, the Friday showing, and I have never been in so much pain from holding piss in my life.
For the first one?
For the second one.
Oh, the second, because it was 3 hours long?
Yeah, and the ending was just drug out.
It was horrible. I remember, I was like, wait a minute, is he dead now? No, okay.
Right.
Is he dead now? Oh, no. And then, spoiler alert, they yelled at it.
Yeah, that was the dumbest.
Oh, they said, you dumb clown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they all had to like go relive their childhood traumas. Yeah, no, don't go. I mean, I guess watch it, but be prepared that it's not as good as the first half.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Horror for me is it's actually my least favorite film genre is horror.
Yeah.
Just because I think a lot of them are really, really bad.
Yeah.
Some it can be good. Like Scream is my favorite horror movie ever. I love Scream. But I think part of it's because of comedy. Horror comedy I really like. Like horror, strictly horror. Yeah, it's not really for me.
Yeah, I feel that. What is so you mentioned Lost was your favorite television show. What's your like favorite film?
Favorite movie ever is The Social Network from 2010. It's about on the surface it's about Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Really, it's more about how a guy can, take an idea. It's really about a court case. The writer Aaron Sorkin, who I think is the best living screenwriter, he's my favorite screenwriter. He wrote shows like The West Wing, which is really, really good television, so good. And it was really good when he wrote on it. He ended up leaving the show, and the quality did go down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really good. I love The Social Network. I did a top 10 video on, because I do YouTube sometimes, and I did a top 10 movies of the decade, and I was
Wait,
like,
what's the YouTube? Drop it.
oh, Jaymen is my name.
Yeah.
You can watch. I for a little bit of time I did vlogs. I kind of see it as breaking up into seasons. Season 1 was vlogs. Season
like
2 was Television Tuesday. On all Tuesdays, I did. I reviewed.
I watched
TV
every
shows.
one of those.
Yeah, and then I did a random at the end, because 2020 was coming up. I did like a random video of the top 10 movies of the decade. At that point in time, though, I didn't see a couple movies that came out late 2019. Like, I had not seen Parasite yet, and Parasite would be in my top 10.
I haven't watched that yet.
It is as perfect as a movie as can be.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like to me, there's nothing wrong with that movie. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the social Network for a movie. Lost as TV show. Favorite TV character ever is Tony Soprano from The Sopranos.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize The Sopranos is the best television show ever in my eyes.
Right.
But I can distinguish the best versus favorite.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Gotcha.
I can only connect to an Italian mob boss so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Where so yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, there's no real next deeper meaning to this, but I just finished Dexter. I thought it was a good show.
I've heard a lot of people like it, and I want to watch it. It's been on my list for 37 weeks, it seems, or years, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I just haven't, because I watch so much. So it's like, and I really do try to finish something before I go to the next, even though like I kind of go between shows and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't even finished season 4 of 13 Reasons Why, because I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, oh, it's really bad this year.
Yeah, I didn't even watch the second season of that show. I really enjoyed the first season.
Agreed. I liked the first one a lot. Second one, I didn't hate it. Third one, I didn't even hate. I just didn't really like it that much. And then the fourth one, I'm 2 episodes in and it's really bad.
Right.
Yeah. That should stop.
Yeah. So.
Wait, let's see. How much time are we at?
We're at 40. We're at 45. I might just like
What
do
do
a
you-
little editing.
What do you usually go to? For how long?
Like
do you-
45 to an hour.
All right. Well, we can talk about this. I'm black. Yes, viewers, you may not know this. If this is audio only, you may not know. Jaymen Neff-Strickland is a black man. Yeah, so I'm biracial actually. My mother is white, and my biological father is black. And we grew up in Urbana, Ohio, which some parts of the country may say is a backwards town. Things do a little things slower here.
Very slow.
Yes.
Not the slowest, but pretty slow.
But pretty slow. You see the same people every day doing the same exact thing.
Yeah. Year in and year out.
Maybe that's part of the reason Dave isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
The opportunities, like we're talking about, they don't really come up that much in Urbana. And with that, with it being a little slower, the black families came here a little slower, I guess, because it's not the most diverse.
Definitely.
We, when it comes to our county of Champaign County, we were definitely the city slickers. And I was called.
that's
funny thing. I was called a city slicker once by somebody from like Graham or something. Which I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
Because to me it's like this place is pretty country, and it's funny where I go now, Bowling Green. Going up there, Bowling Green is a mix, I'd say, between Urbana and more of a urban setting as well. Mm-hmm. And there are people there that are from all walks of life. There are people from inner city Detroit, inner city Cleveland, really big cities. Then there's people from places like Urbana and even smaller. And it's funny because when I went there, you see culture shock on both sides. Some people will go there and like, this is the most country Hoboken place I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, oh, this place is vibrant and live. And it's just funny. But kind of, in Urbana, it's just, we could go to like, did you see discrimination? Yeah. Did you experience racial issues? Yeah. But, I'm here, so it obviously wasn't life-threatening, which obviously is the case sometimes.
Yeah.
But, like, for instance, I remember in 8th grade basketball, we played a school around here, Kenton, basketball, and I got called the N-word. Like, those are the type of situations we have. I remember in high school, I think it was my senior year, we're playing our rival Graham at home, and the ball's going out of bounds. I jump to get the ball, and I jump and save it, and where do I land? Right in their student section. And what do they say to me? Run, inward, run.
What?
So I'm like, I better get out of here. So those are some things that I have had to go through. And, you know, when people say, oh, it's not that bad around here, well, it's not that bad around here for you, you know?
Yeah.
I think if people just, you know, really open their eyes up and, you know, can see or try to, you know, see from other people's perspective, you will understand that, you know, there are problems that need to, you know, taken care of, whether any problems those may be. But yeah, like, growing up black in a not black area, it was definitely different. Definitely
Right.
different.
Yeah, and I think you said some very important things there. One, if I'm just gonna make a statement, it might be a little blatant here, but if you've never left a small town, you're never really gonna understand the struggle that you know, black people, minorities experience, and that's, you know, something I see. And I'm actually grateful that I've been back here because I can, like,
Really
observe that, and that's something where, like, you know, you'll see a lot of people saying all lives matter.
Yeah.
But they've never really left their comfort, I guess, like, and what, you know, if you stay in the same place your whole life, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to accept
Your
that.
perspective is going to be not as vast,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And you're just never gonna understand the like even like you said, like, I never knew that people called you the N-word
Right.
playing sports.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because, you know, it's not a thing where you hold it on your chest. I have been a victim of racial injustice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also, you don't want to assume somebody has either. You don't want to say, you don't want to look at a black person and be like, I bet they've had tough times. Because, like, that doesn't help anything
Yeah.
either. Yeah, it's just, those things happen. And I mean, I remember also a time I was probably maybe like I want to say maybe 8th grade, maybe a freshman in high school, and I'm at a friend's house and we're playing basketball because he had a basketball court, and this is a white friend of mine, and he has a neighbor across the street, and to my knowledge, they were stand-up folks because my friend and they got along, so we went over there and we're talking to him, and I remember I'm standing up against a post he had, and he said, look at you over there, look, and it was hot out that day. It was a summer night, and he said, look at you over there, looking like a melted chocolate bar. And to me, you know, I'm like, I said, what, you know? And he's like, what, are you gonna get mad or something? And I was like, I mean, yeah, like, you know, and some people will try to distinguish the difference between racism and racially insensitive, and this and how about you just don't? You know what I mean? Like, just do, I mean, I'm fine with jokes. I'm fine with racial humor. I love humor. I love stand-up. I love when things push the envelope. But you're not a stand-up comedian guy. You're a middle-aged man who has a poor job, who hates his life. It doesn't mean you have to take it out on me.
Yeah.
And he grabbed me by my neck, and he cut my neck, and we ended up calling the cops, and the cops came, and oh yeah, nothing happened. But, you know, I remember they took pictures on my neck, and, like, my mom came down, and she was all mad and everything.
Your mom was pissed.
Oh yeah, she was real upset. But, yeah, I mean, those are just things that's like, and I'm a kid, too, so it's like, what are you doing, man? People say, just love everybody. I don't think you need to love everybody. To me, love is I take love very personally. I don't say it to everybody. I don't really say it to anybody. Because to me, love is something different than extremely like. You can extremely like somebody. That doesn't mean you love them, you know? And I don't think you need to love everybody. I don't love the stranger walking on the street. I don't love them because I don't know them. But you can respect everybody. You can, you know what I mean? You can have empathy for people. But if you just can maybe, like you were saying, like put yourself in other people's shoes or try to gain perspective.
Yeah.
The world would be better for sure.
Right. And that's why, just particular with like this platform of podcasts, I love like the discussion element.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, like just, you know, talking about these things. I mean, it doesn't always have to be with like, what am I trying to say? Like an activist. It could just be like, you know, someone a friend of yours that has different experiences, or someone like someone that's from a different area, someone different skin color than you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super important to understanding, their struggles and seeing things from that side. Like, yeah,
don't be afraid to educate yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, educate in the sense of like gaining perspective. And I'm not saying you have to go and read a manifesto by somebody that was, was really dry. You don't have to do that. Like you're saying, just have a conversation with somebody that's learning, that's being educated. And if they don't want to do it, okay, well, then don't pay them any mind. Go to the next one. I mean, I love human interaction. I think it is why humans are the top of the food chain, because we get to learn from each other. There are so many different experiences that people go through. A fish is a fish. It's going to do what fish do. They swim, they get eaten by sharks. Humans, on the other hand, they are in so many different, whether it be economic status, which I think that's a problem for another day, discussion for another day. I wish it wasn't the way it is, but the economic, we have racial differences, which also race, I think, is a construct constructed by humans. But we are all the same, but we also have differences, and I think the more you surround yourself with people who are different from you, the more well-rounded you will be, the better person you will be. You're just going to be better.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe diversity does bring about better.
Yeah.
Some person on one of the cable news channels was saying, "Why is diversity good? What's so great about it?" Because if you stick around the people who are like you, and look like you, and sound like you, and act like you, and believe the same things you do, that's all you're ever going to believe, and you're not going to grow as a person. But if you're around people who may differ in opinions, or whatever the case may be, you may have a different perspective, they might gain a different perspective. It's just, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. And I really think you nailed it on the head with that sentiment. Surrounding yourself with, different types of people. For me, that's something that, since I went off to Ohio State, or since I moved to New Jersey, that's something that I've kind of strived to do. And I haven't been I've thought about this a lot. I actually think about the issues that this country is going through. I think about it a lot, more than I feel like other people do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't post about it.
Yeah.
And
I don't think you have to. Just
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't put the black squares a couple weeks ago, but I'm not even trying to toot my own horn. I'm just telling my perspective of this. I reached out to one of the guys that I work with. I was like, he's black. I was like, hey man, I really appreciate some of the deep conversations, because we open up the gym at 5 and there's not a lot going on. So we'll talk about his background being black.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the army, or dad was in the army, so moving around and how different parts of the country treat black people.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those discussions I've had with that guy, other people, not necessarily even just black people, but people that are Muslim in college, having those discussions, I think is very important. And that's probably the biggest takeaway of this episode.
Yeah, just be around. If you what is it, you can be uncomfortable, but get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's all and we can break it to fitness really quick. The only way your muscles are going to grow is if they're put under stress and they're uncomfortable. You rip it apart whenever you break them down, you build them back up. You're not going to grow unless you are in uncomfortable positions. You're not going to grow unless you break down your muscle. You're not going to grow unless you break down your ideas, your ideological sense of everything. It's just be uncomfortable, because you will not get better if you aren't. Nothing good has come from things that are just strictly easy.
Right. Yeah, and I think that we're about at an hour. That is a great take-home message, guys.
Hello.
I really appreciate everyone tuning in, and Jaymen, thanks again for being on, taking time to do this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. With that, we are out.
Peace.